Okay, we're live. Hi. I think this is working. My name is John Feldman. I am the director for McCormick on the Wildcat Welcome Board of Directors. Thank you for tuning in to our awesome McCormick Hangout. We are all over the country, so this is going to be a really fun way for you guys to see what everybody's doing, get your questions answered about McCormick. I know you have tons of them. We've been following the Facebook group and everything, so hopefully this will be kind of a one-stop shop for you all to get your questions answered. So I'll just introduce myself. I am, like I said, on the Wildcat Welcome Board of Directors. I am going to be a senior. I study environmental engineering. I also have a minor in Chinese language and culture and a certificate in architectural design and engineering. We also have 3, maybe 4 of our lovely PAs also, and 2 of the first-year advisors. So let's go to them and have them introduce themselves. So Laurel, do you want to introduce yourself?
Okay. So I'm Laurel Bonta. I am from Ponte Beach Beach, Florida, and that's actually where I am right now. I'm in my room / my mother's room. She kind of took it over. I am a mechanical engineer with a minor in music technology. I think that's it.
Awesome. Andy, you want to go next? Andy, you're muted still.
That's embarrassing. What up, class of 2018 and transfers? Shout out to the transfers. Also, shout out to the Excel students and my PA kids. But I'm Andy Walele. I am a rising senior studying biomedical engineering and economics, double major. I'm from Bothell, Washington, but I'm currently in Ohio interning at GE Healthcare. So that's what I'm doing this summer, and I'm in my room.
Nick, go ahead.
Hi, y'all. I'm Nick Phillips. I'm a rising sophomore in biomedical engineering. I'm from Madison, Wisconsin, and right now I'm in Evanston working in a BME lab. It's me.
All right. Professor Freeman, do you want to go next?
Sure. Welcome, class 2018. I'm Professor Richard Freeman. I am going to be your advisor if you've indicated either electrical engineering, computer science, or civil engineering. And then for the rest of you that have me are going to be undeclared for right now, and I'll work with you toward getting you, helping you choose a major.
Go ahead, Professor Gentry.
Hey, I'm Ken Gentry, and I am also a first-year advisor, and I advise biomedical engineering students. So I see 2 of them here. Very exciting.
Well, okay. Cool. So you guys hopefully are getting an idea of who all is involved in the whole process. We've got 2 other advisors who couldn't join us tonight, and then we have a whole staff of, how many other PAs are there? 38 other PAs. So you guys kind of have an idea of all the cool people that are involved. So Professors Gentry and Freeman kind of touched on that if you guys are in a certain major, you'll be with a certain advisor, and so that'll be a cool way kind of just to get more of a specific vibe about your major and maybe related fields as you go on into your first year. So we're going to start off with just an overview of exactly how advising is going to work. Professor Gentry is going to give us a quick overview.
Okay, so Professor Freeman and I are academic advisors, and our main job is to help you pick classes for your major. So, biomedical engineering, electrical engineering, whatever it be. We also can be your first contact for other questions outside your major. If you have questions about a minor, questions about you're having a hard time figuring out how you should study for a certain class, we can be a resource for all of that. But our main job is to help you pick classes for your first year at McCormick. But we will point you to other advisors on campus. If you want to get a Spanish minor, we'll point you to an advisor in the Spanish department, for example. So that's our main job. And one of the ways that we're going to do our job this summer is we have a new online system. We just started it, pretty exciting. It's the Dossier, which I'm sure many of you have started. And so the Dossier is a way for you to go in and put all this information about yourself and what you want to study, and then start thinking about the classes you'll be taking in the fall. So if you have questions about Dossier, we're happy to answer them during this Google Hangout. You can also always email us. I don't know if the email address is up, but it's mcc-advising@northwestern.edu. So you can always send emails during the Hangout or after. And we'll try to answer your questions. So I think with that being said, we'll move on to the next thing.
Sure. Wait, Kelly, are you there? Can we hear you?
Yeah, I finally figured it out. Like, technology challenged when I was engineering life. You know, I got it now. We're good.
Do you want to just quickly introduce yourself?
Yeah, so hi, I'm Kelly. I'm a rising senior biomedical engineering major, also pursuing the Kellogg certificate, and I'm from Hoffman Estates, Illinois, which is about 45 minutes due west of Northwestern, and this will be my third time being a PA, so looking forward to it.
Awesome. That's great.
Is your webcam on, Kelly?
Is it?
We don't see you.
We
You
can't
don't
see.
see me. Such struggles.
That's okay. We try and figure that out, and we'll move on to the next part.
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay. Laurel wants to throw in that she's a rising sophomore for everybody who wants to know. Cool. Okay. So we haven't talked about Dossier yet. So Professor Gentry, if you want to talk about the Dossier, please.
Yeah, so if you haven't already, you should definitely log into Dossier. We put a deadline there of July 11th to fill the whole thing out. It's not a hard deadline, but that gives us, the advisors, time to look through them all and figure everything out. There I am. Anyway, so there's three parts to it. One is just general information. It lets us get to know you a little better. We ask your T-shirt size because you get your first free T-shirt during Wildcat Welcome. And then the next thing is to go through and start thinking about classes. There you go. Is to start thinking about classes you'll take your fall quarter. So you don't actually register for classes this summer. So don't like freak out when you hit the submit button in Dossier and think you just signed up for classes. This is just the start of a conversation that will continue through the summer and then continue during Wildcat Welcome. You don't actually register for classes until the Friday before school starts. And these fine PAs here will help you in that process as well. So, but it's a way to get the conversation started as far as, oh, which math class should I be in, which chemistry class should I be in. So the third part of the Dossier is the math exams, and there's actually two parts to that. One is an ALEX exam, and this is an exam given by a different company, so you go to a different website, and it's required for math and chemistry at Northwestern. It's algebra. You probably shouldn't have too much of a hard time with it, but it just ensures that you'll do well in chemistry. The other part of the math exams is the calculus placement exams. There's three. There's a differential calculus exam, an integral calculus exam, and then the third one is optional. It's a really advanced calculus. It's the honors calculus exam. So based on AP scores, based on the results of those exams, we'll get you into the right calculus class. And there's actually, I think, 4 really that you could be placed into. So that's, if you do those exams, your advisor looks at the rest of what you filled out in Dossier, and we come to kind of a suggestion for you. So that's maybe the last thing I'll say before we go to the next thing, is that as academic advisors, we're going to suggest classes. You can always pick something else, but that might not be the best choice. So this summer we'll make a suggestion, Math 224, just a suggestion though. Maybe you think you really should be in Math 220 or something like that.
And just so you guys know, 224 is single variable integral calculus, and 220 is single variable differential calculus. So you'll kind of get that lingo down a little bit later. But yeah, Professor Gentry is absolutely right. It's just an opportunity to kind of see what you know, what you remember. We've had a lot of people ask, like, oh, how hard is the exam? Like, is it going to be, you want to do well on the test. We understand, but really kind of giving it your honest try is going to help the advisors place you in the class that's really right for you. So kind of keep that in mind as you take the placement exams and look through Dossier. Professor Freeman, do you want to talk about the basic science requirements?
Sure, why not? Okay, so looking through Dossier, we've gotten several questions from you all regarding should I take this chemistry, or can I complete my basic science requirements without taking chemistry, without taking physics? Let me start by saying your basic science requirement is dictated by your major. So if you choose, say, for example, computer science, with computer science you don't have to take chemistry, you don't have to take physics, you don't have to take biology. You have to take 4 McCormick approved science courses. That could be a combination of courses that you already have AP credit for. So say you got like a 5 on the AP chemistry exam, that would count for an entire year of chemistry. So Chem 101, 102, 103, and then you could take a 4th course and you are done with science. Just to kind of give you an idea, I don't know how much you all have heard about chemistry or physics or biology or even earth and physical sciences, earth and planetary sciences at Northwestern. But most students end up taking chemistry, either for most of your majors. I'll pick on Professor Gentry for a minute. BME is required to take a year of chemistry, then they take organic chemistry. So you have a lot of chemistry that you take as a BME, whereas, like I said, if you're an electrical engineer, you can just take 4 approved science courses. And where we get these basic approved science courses from is in the catalog. The McCormick school says these are the courses we will approve. So say, for example, you say, okay, I want to take biology. There are 3 approved biology courses. That to take biology, you have to have credit for chemistry. So what we have to do is kind of look at your major, and if you want to talk about it, we are more than happy to have those conversations with you. But again, I just wanted to make the point that your basic science requirement is dictated by your major.
Great. And what is the email address that if a student has a question and they just can't find the answer, where can they email you all to get maybe an answer about basic science requirements?
Wow, John, funny you should ask that question. It's the mcc-advising@northwestern.edu email address. So if you go into Dossier or you go to the Welcome to the Class of 2018 page, that link to our office is there. And one of the 4 of us, one of the 4 advisors, looks at the email every day. So every day we're looking at emails and answering your questions.
Fantastic. So yeah, we've got 4 advisors. They're working there over the summer, and they will be answering your questions that you have about being in McCormick. Some of these things can be. Yeah, who is that? Oh, it's Professor Gentry. Nice.
That's Professor Gentry.
Can you all see that? mcc-advising@northwestern.edu. That's so great. Okay. So keep that in mind. I believe it's in your Purple Prep book on the McCormick page. It should be there. If not, make sure you ask your PA. All of your peer advisors, which may be one of these 4 lovely people or someone else, has hopefully already contacted you and introduced themselves and talked about how you guys are going to have the best time together during Wildcat Welcome and through the first year. So if you have any questions about anything, make sure you email them. They also have access to all this information, and they are a great resource.
Look at that. Kelly's got her camera on.
All right. This is so great.
I know. I finally figured it out. We're good now.
We had a little bit of a hiccup for a second, but we're all good. Okay. So I'm just going to briefly talk about the McCormick experience before we get into some questions that you all have had. So what is Wildcat Welcome? Hopefully you guys have tuned into the other Google Hangouts that the Wildcat Welcome, the Office of New Student and Family Programs, has hosted. Maybe you've seen Kelly there. You might see Andy there later this summer. But what's going to happen is that you guys are going to all move in to your residence halls and residential colleges on the first day. Then from those next 7 to 8 days are going to be, you all will be in a group of roughly 10 of your peers with a peer advisor like one of these lovely people. And so you're going to go through a lot of different events and a lot of different things about McCormick and being an engineer and what it is to be a student here, and also just kind of what is it like to be a part of a community at Northwestern. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to have each PA kind of go through and give a little bit of what they really like about Wildcat Welcome, because each of these guys went through Wildcat Welcome at least once as a new student, and Kelly and Andy will have done it a couple times. So let's do Andy, you want to go first?
Yeah, for sure. Got my mic right this time. I think my favorite part about Wildcat Welcome is definitely the events. So we have 8 days for orientation, and we do it differently. So we have a lot of fun with our orientation. We don't play games. Actually, we play a lot of games, really. We go to Six Flags. We play a lot of icebreakers. We have fun. We have great conversations. So I think the events and just the high-paced activities of it is what really is like my favorite part about it. So.
Yeah, Laurel, go ahead.
Okay, yeah, so I'd have to go and agree with Andy. I love the events. One of my favorite was Target at night. That one was really cool because I got a chance to buy up anything I forgot to buy, like extra tissues for when you were getting sick, because I was starting to feel it after all that early morning stuff. I needed some extra vitamins in my diet. And then meeting new people. So I think that was also great. Every time I turned my head, I just like introduced myself. So don't be afraid to introduce yourself to new people, even though you might not talk to them for a long time or might not even see them again. It's just great to meet new people, say hi, and kind of have these people who are in the same situation as you, and you get to share your feelings and where you're from and your major.
Absolutely.
Yeah, there's really just no shortage of things to do, as both Andy and Laurel alluded to. There are a ton of opportunities to meet new people. Six Flags is a blast. Target is honestly a straight-up party. It's going to get bumping. It's a lot of fun. So you'll have a lot of opportunities just to start experiencing the Northwestern culture, and it's a lot of fun.
Yeah, so tagging on to what everyone else has said, obviously the events are great, but I also just really love the vibe of Wildcat Welcome. It's a time where everyone is really excited to be at Northwestern, and everyone is excited to meet new people. You know, you can meet theater majors, you can meet engineers. Everything's fair game, and I think that's the best part of Wildcat Welcome, is that there's just endless opportunities to meet new people and get the most out of your Northwestern experience in that first week alone.
Absolutely. There are so many events that you guys have coming up at you. You don't even know like how much fun you're going to have. It's going to be great. All of these guys know that it's going to be the best time ever. Hopefully, they will convince you to love it as much as they do. Okay, so we are going to go into some questions that you guys have posed. You've emailed into the Office of Undergraduate Engineering, and the professors here have kind of helped us figure out the answers. So I'm going to go ahead and read the questions, and then each of our PAs are going to answer the questions that they feel comfortable answering. So we're going to go ahead and start with this first one. So I took some college-level classes while I was in high school, and I want to transfer those credits. According to the McCormick site and the credit transfer form, I need a signature from the registrar at the college and from my high school teacher/counselor to fill in the form. But I'm not at that college anymore, and my high school is closed for the summer. It's really tough for me to fill out this form. But I do have official sealed copies of my transcript from the college with my name, grades, classes, and the signature of the registrar. So would this official transcript be fine, and when do I send it in? And is it possible to transfer these college credits when I'm at Northwestern? That's a lot of stuff. But
I think I can take that one, I think. Yeah, I got it. So we actually got the transfer policy wrong in the online documentation. So it was improperly reported on Dossier. So what you really should do is, if you have it, mail it either to Joe Holgreave or email it to Joe Holgreave. And his email is actually jjh@northwestern.edu. Again, jjh@northwestern.edu. If you don't have those documents already and you need a little bit more time, just post a note on your dossier and you and your advisor can work it out. It's not a huge problem, but you will need to get an official transcript at some point from the registrar's office. So I know you're not there right now, but registrar's office are usually open over the summer, so you should definitely be able to contact them and get that taken care of.
All right, great. So the next question. This question is about sending in our final year grades and transfer of my A-level credits. So I took the A-level exams, not the IB or AP, and I received my official grades between August 12th and 14th. So my high school counselor told me that they will send these A-level grades along with my high school transcript as soon as the grades have been sent out. And so this is going to be late. What do I do?
Oh, well, what you can do actually is just contact your advisor via Dossier, because August 1st, right? August 1st is the date for that, but it's not a hard set deadline. So what you could do is just, again, contact your advisor and then send it in afterwards, or after the date, August 1st.
Perfect. And so a related question. How do I receive credits for my A-levels? And do I fill in some form before I arrive at NU, or can I do it while I'm at NU?
So, unfortunately, Northwestern does not accept A-level credits, but obviously you've taken a high-level course in a certain area, so we would advise that you take the placement test for that particular course to get out of the courses that you are capable of passing out of.
Yeah, absolutely. If you are an expert in chemistry, probably not as much of a reason for you to take basic chemistry all over again. So Kelly's absolutely right. The placement exams will be really important for you. Okay, so speaking of placement exams, I got a 4 on the AP Chem test. So if I take that placement test and place into organic chemistry, can I gain credit for the 3 units of basic chemistry, 101, 102, 103, towards the basic science requirement, which Professor Freeman talked about earlier? Or will I still only have 1 credit for Chem 101?
So a 4 on the AP Chem exam only gives you credit for Chem 101. If you place into organic chemistry and your major requires it, then you could consider taking Orgo. And just to cover the bases, I believe a 3 also gives you credit for 101, and a 5 gives you credit for 101, 102, 103. Does that sound right?
That sounds right.
Okay.
And so yeah, absolutely, that can be really tricky. What those, what your AP scores count for, and if you took IBs, what IP scores counts for. So definitely put all that information in a dossier. Get your information for what you get on your placement exams. But remember that it's just the beginning of July, so nothing is set in stone yet. So if you have a question, contact the advisors. You'll be hearing from your PA. You can talk to your PA, and hopefully they'll be able to give you a better idea of what you might need to do. So yeah, if Nick was right, if you need to take Orgo, then maybe you would consider doing it. If you don't know if your major requires Orgo, ask your professor, or rather ask your PA, or you can go to, if you Google the department of your degree. So if you want to do like civil engineering, it's like civil.northwestern.edu, that kind of thing. Google the department within McCormick, and there should be a list of requirements for your major, and it'll help you figure out if you do need to take Orgo, or what levels of chemistry you need to take. Can be a different question. Okay.
Hey, John, if I can interrupt for a second.
Absolutely.
Every department has a undergraduate student manual or handbook, and you can always take a look at those, and it will tell you what the rules are regarding your major, so what courses you take, what are the basic sciences for your major, et cetera, et cetera.
All that information is there. It might be a little bit complicated to read, and I know it's hard to navigate some of those websites, so reach out to your PA, reach out to the advisors if you do have a question, but all that information is out there for you to find. So speaking of chemistry, speaking of the sequences, what is the main difference between going to Chem 101 versus going to Chem 171? What does that mean?
Well, I can answer that. For the 101 Chem sequence, that's a full year. So that means fall, winter, and spring, you'll be taking Chemistry 101 in fall, 102, and then 103 ending in spring. And then 171 and 172 is just 2 quarters. So fall and winter. 171 is basically all of 101 and half of 102, and 172 is the other half of 102 and 103. So basically it's just shorter. 171, 172 is shorter and faster.
That's accelerated inorganic chemistry rather than basic inorganic chemistry. So it's in a shorter amount of time, covers the same amount of material. And so talking about AP exams, those are for people who maybe got a 4 on AP Chem or did really well on the placement exam, and so they don't want to start like basic chemistry. So Laurel's absolutely right. Okay.
Can I jump in quick?
Yes, absolutely.
I just want to make the point that unfortunately you can't start in one sequence and then hop to the other one. So if you decide, oh, well, maybe I'll try 171, unfortunately you can't jump down to 102 for the winter quarter because 171 is half 102. So if you have a question, really talk to your advisor, talk to the PAs, really get a feel for which sequence you should be in. Because you can't go back and forth. The chemistry department doesn't allow that. So just make sure if you have any questions, get as much information as you can before registering in September.
I also have another thing to add about the chemistry sequence. You can't start in winter, maybe say, like, oh, I think I can get 101, I have credit for that, I can get into 171 or 172 or whatever. So you can't just jump into 102 or jump in at the end of 103. You have to start at 101 in the fall. So that means if you're going to skip chemistry, you cannot take it until sophomore year. So if you're going to start chemistry, either 101 or 171, and you have to finish your sequence depending on your major.
Absolutely right. Yeah, so make sure you know what you need to do, then avoid a hiccup like that in your scheduling. So kind of in the vein of this all this AP Chem business, all this Chemistry 101, 171 business, does having the AP credit for Chem 101 and then completing Chem 171 still count as 2 units towards the basic science requirement fulfillment, or would it just be 1?
I can speak to that. Unfortunately, it does not count as AP credit for 101. So if you're going to complete 171, it'll give you the basic science requirement for 101 and 1 unrestricted free elective. So that's very confusing, but you get a free elective and the 101 requirement if you do 171.
So make sure you know what you're doing. Make sure you take the right sequence and stay in it for that whole year. You'll avoid any kind of confusion like that. Okay, moving on. Are there any particular classes you would recommend retaking in college, even if you have you already have AP credit for it, like calculus, macroeconomics, chemistry? So if you did really well in that, is it worth it to retake it in college?
So I can speak to that. So I would honestly say it really depends on the student. Like for me, I had taken AP chemistry my sophomore year of high school. So when I came in as a freshman, that had been 3 years in the past, and I did not feel comfortable with that material anymore. So I decided to retake general chemistry. So it really depends on how comfortable you feel as a student, and that's something you can talk to your PA about how comfortable you feel with that material and where the best place is for you.
Absolutely, yeah. Definitely talk to your PA. Your PA will help you figure out what's going to be challenging for you, like good challenging, not like I'm dying challenging, and then what's going to help you, make sure that you're learning and you're happy about learning and you're excited about what you're learning. So that's also a good conversation to have with your advisors, because you don't want to take a class and be bored. You don't want to take, if you took AP chemistry in your senior year and you got a 5 and you're like, maybe I should take Chem 101 and it'll be an easy A. Maybe it will be for you, but honestly, you're not going to have a good time. So make sure you talk to your advisor. Make sure you talk to your PA. Make sure you know what's going to be good. You're in college. Hopefully, you're excited about what you're learning, and so we want to make sure that you're adequately challenged and having a good time learning these things. So definitely a conversation. If you're not sure, a conversation to have with one of your resources. Okay, so moving on into a different part of the first year curriculum. Engineering analysis. Maybe you guys have heard about engineering analysis, EA. So that is kind of a sequence of classes you'll take in your first year. What kind of specific assignments do you complete in engineering analysis?
So this really depends on which engineering analysis course you're talking about. In EA1, for example, there are these weekly quizzes. So in the first half, you cover MATLAB, so you have a lot of questions covering that. And in the second half, you get to linear algebra. And on top of that, there's a weekly MATLAB program that you have to come up with. Then moving on to EA2, you have these weekly assignments just out of a textbook. So they're varying lengths. Some are shorter, some are longer. And then EA3, if the professor stays the same, which it doesn't always, but it has for the last couple of years, he has his own textbook and his own problem set, and it's sort of like EA2. You just have a set of problems that you have to complete each week.
Yeah, so as Nick said, EA1 is just MATLAB assignments. That's pretty much all it is. Even when you're doing linear algebra, you're still doing MATLAB assignments for those and figuring out how matrices fit into MATLAB. If you don't know, MATLAB is all matrices, so you'll learn about that. EA2, once again, in the workbook. So basically, each week you'll get a set number of problems, and you just go through the problems and you work them out. I usually recommend study groups for those because some of them are very hard, and the exams are also basically like the workbook problems. So it's stress and strain, joint section dynamics. So basically, it's very heavily physics-based. I enjoyed that one. EA3, once again, textbook work problems. The professor usually gives a textbook to you, at least in the past few years. The professor has made up his own kind of setup for the class. So it just depends on him, but it's just textbook problems.
And also for both EA1 and EA3, there's a longer project at the end of the quarter. So for EA1, it's this longer MATLAB program, and for EA3, again, I don't know if he's going to do the same exact thing, but this year anyway, you had to do a longer project where you made some sort of observation, and you took a video of this observation and made a guess about how it works. Then you ran it through like an image analysis sort of deal, and analyzed the data that way. So get to play around with it.
One thing we didn't talk about is EA4. So EA is actually a 4-quarter sequence, so you finish it up in the sophomore year. EA4 is very different. So it's about differential equations. With EA3, you start those, and EA4, you solve them. And there's also very heavy on MATLAB. So MATLAB does not go away after your first quarter, so keep that in mind as you learn it, and just take it in stride.
Yeah, just like one final thing about the EA sequence is that there's a lot of group work, and that's intentional. EA is a great way to get to know your fellow engineers and to learn from them. So even if you're scared of programming in EA1, in EA2, physics might be your thing, and you can help out those people that helped you with your program. So just keeping that in mind as you go through the sequence. There are going to be things you're good at and things you're bad at, but there'll always be something that you're good at.
Absolutely, yeah. So yeah, if you guys don't know programming, that's totally cool. MATLAB's a lot of programming, so there are a lot, like Kelly said, there's a lot of trade-off of like what you might know, what you might not know. I know for sure that I was much better at EA2 and 4, and EA1 and 3 were not my jam. So just kind of keep that in mind, and it's absolutely true that you guys are all going to be in these classes together as new students. So take advantage of you all kind of having a shared experience and use it to kind of figure out how you study well together, that kind of thing. Okay, so some of you guys have probably looked at Dossier, hopefully. It's due on July 11th, soft date. And so maybe you've already started your study plan for the fall. And so if you look at it, there are you have spots for 4 courses, including if you're thinking about DTC 1, there's actually a 5th slot. So why is there a 5th slot under the list of classes for fall?
So DTC is actually a 2-part course. So there's the Design 106-1, and then there's English 106-1, which also explains why you'll have 2 professors for DTC. So you'll have half a design credit and half an English credit in the first quarter that you take DTC. And then you'll complete each of those credits when you take DTC 2 and get the credits for Design 106-2 and English 106-2. So throughout the whole year, you'll get 1 full design credit and 1 full English credit, but you'll be taking half in each time you take it, if that makes sense.
Yeah, so it's kind of like you're sitting in 2 classes at the exact same time. Design and English are the same class together. So yeah, you do it in the fall or winter, and also in the spring. Everyone does it in the spring. Okay, so on the English credit question, so do I have to take any more English classes after I complete DTC 1 and DTC 2?
After DTC 1 and DTC 2, that encompasses your English credit. However, if you go into the handbook for McCormick, it has another unit for credit, and this is the speech unit. So the speech class is General Communication 102 or General Communication 103. These are separate courses, each focusing on different things. One is more like public speaking, speaking at random chances. The other one is performance through literature, so you're going to be poetry, performing plays, whatever. And then for BMEs, they have their own special speech course, which is part of their capstone in their senior year. I don't know too much about that because I'm not a BME, but I just wanted to let you know that speech is part of your English credit, even though it's not always right there in front of you. Just keep that in mind. For pre-meds too, I think there are also some English requirements for you, but I'm not pre-med as well, so maybe find out from advisors, or if you can find an engineer who's also pre-med, try to talk to them. If you want to take additional English courses though, besides DTC 1 and 2 and your speech class, don't forget. Sometimes it catches up on people and they forget about it until the last quarter, senior year, and it's hard to get in, so just remember that it's there. You can always take an English course if you want. That's if you want. I mean, if you like poetry or if you like novels, you want to analyze those. It's always up to you. It's free.
Andy, do you want to talk a little bit about the speech requirement for BMEs? Just a little bit.
Yeah, my understanding is that we actually incorporate it into our capstone projects. So luckily, Professor Gentry is a BME advisor, so he'd know a little bit more about that than I do, hopefully. But I'm a rising senior, so I haven't taken it yet. I haven't graduated yet. Cross my fingers that I will this year, but that's all I know for now. But if you have more questions about that, definitely follow up with me on Facebook. You can find me, so I'll have an answer next time.
Yeah, if there are any questions that you get the thumbs up, Professor Gentry. If you have any questions that if maybe you need like a little bit more of a specific answer, definitely put it in that McCormick 2018 Facebook group. All of us are in that Facebook group, as well as Amanda Stasinski. She works as in programming in like the classes in the School of Engineering in McCormick, and so she and other people that work in the undergraduate engineering office are all there. They're all resources that can answer those more specific questions for you. So definitely, all of us, the advisors, that Facebook group, you have plenty of places to get your answers. So use them if you can. What is the class size for engineering analysis?
Yeah, that's a typical question. It's roughly 70 to 100 people. So it depends on the section, depends on the teacher sometimes, but there's probably going to be a section at 8 or 9 a.m. all the way up until probably noon or 1 o'clock p.m. So it just depends, it varies, but 70 to 100.
Very true. Okay, so this is a tough one. Hopefully everybody's got their answer prepared. If you had to choose, what was the one thing you disliked about your engineering experience at Northwestern? Let's keep it. No, actually, yeah, your whole engineering experience. What was the thing you disliked? Let's do it in this order. Cool.
I'll start off. So I don't really think this is specific to Northwestern. It's just that engineering can be pretty hard. Like there are going to be some MATLAB programs you get both in EA1 and towards the end in EA3 that are just brutal, and you're going to hate it, and it's going to be miserable for a night or two, but you're going to get through it. Everything here is pretty manageable when it's all said and done. Office hours are super helpful. You can get to TAs and professors really easily, and everyone's in the same boat. So working together, especially on those programs, those MATLAB programs, is incredibly helpful. So don't be afraid to reach out for help, both to classmates and professors and TAs, and you'll get through all that stuff.
Okay, one thing that I kind of disliked about my experience was the fact that you're always taking these basic engineering courses all the time, like through the whole year, and you're still not really sure about what you really want to do, what you want to do for your major, what's mechanical engineering, what's BME, what do they do? It's like all these questions that you don't really know what engineering is, but you have a feeling that you want to do it. But then as you kind of go out throughout the year and you talk to more people, you talk to advisors, you kind of figure out what you want to do. So the EA, the engineering analysis classes, they actually did end up helping me. EA2 especially made me realize that I do like physics more than I like chemistry. So I decided to do mechanical engineering because I also like to be hands-on student. So DTC 1, that actually helped a lot. DTC is a very helpful class in reality. It's a lot of work, but it's helpful. So yeah, just take the basic courses and it'll help you decide what you want to do and what you want to be.
Yeah, going along the lines of like what a lot of other people have said, engineering is hard. There's no ifs and or buts about it, but it's honestly worth it at the end of the day. And it's going to be hard when you see the people down the hall from you seemingly having a lot less work than you. But really, the best part about McCormick is that we have this camaraderie around the fact that we're in these difficult majors, and at the end of the day, it's always worth it. Because then junior and senior year, you get to take these really awesome classes that go in depth into these topics you really care about. So getting through EA1 can be a little bit of a struggle, but you make some great friendships along the way, and it's definitely worth it.
For me, I think it was my DTC project the second quarter. I just had a project that was just not very good. It didn't seem like there was a great solution to it, but at the end of the day, we worked through it. I scored a good grade in the class, and I think I have something to talk about in interviews going forward. So there's always like a silver lining with any bad experience with McCormick. You just have to see the right side of it. So it's all good.
Yeah, I would agree with everything everybody said. That there's just it's interesting because we're all Northwestern students, but we're kind of we're divided by the different schools, and so McCormick has a different feeling than maybe Beanan, the School of Music, or Weinberg, the School of Arts and Sciences, and so we all have our different kinds of busy, and we have different kinds of interactions. We have different kinds of the way that we go about our lives on campus is a little bit different, but it's all so interesting because we're all still part of this one community, so that one Northwestern. So you guys will kind of experience that as you go through your first year, but definitely you can hear that maybe you'll have some bad experiences, but really there's a silver lining. There's still a great part. There's nothing to be afraid of in engineering, so make sure that you kind of take advantage of all your resources, and really you can do really well. You don't need to be afraid of maybe a bad TTC project or a hard class. Okay, so the next question is one we've been getting a lot. What kind of computer do I need? Should I get a Mac? Should I get a PC? Should I spend a ton of money? Is it cool if I have a cheaper computer? What kind of computer should I get?
Okay, I'll take that one. So NU will support either one. You can go Mac or PC. If you just Google NUIT computer requirements, the first hit hopefully should show you what you need, and they have a list of hardware requirements like 500 gigabyte hard drive, 4 gigs of RAM, stuff like that. I'm an engineer, obviously. I'm on a Mac. I really like it. I have AutoCAD on here. I have MATLAB on here. It works fine. But a lot of people have PCs too, and they say that that's the right call. So I don't really think there's necessarily a right answer to that question. Yeah, so just Google those hardware requirements if you want to figure out exactly what you need. I don't know if any of the other PAs want to vouch for their platform or anything, have anything else to say on that, but that's me.
I have a PC. Eddie, it's all right.
I was just gonna say I'm Team PC. That's all.
Team PC. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm PC as well. I have Linux and Windows 8 running on a refurbished Asus laptop. So basically for laptops, I recommend refurbished laptops. If you know what you're looking for, you know what you're doing, definitely refurbs, because it just saves you so much money that you can buy textbooks with. Just my plus.
I want to second that. I bought this Mac refurbished, and it's been great. There's been nothing wrong with it, so that's a good call. It'll save you some money.
Yeah, I had a PC and now I have a Mac, so I've seen both sides, and honestly, there's no real difference as far as like running engineering software. So it's really like a personal preference. And a lot of the engineering programs that you'll end up using are offered in computer labs within tech, the main building for engineers. So you don't really have to worry, oh, is it going to run this program or that program? It's really what you want to use on a daily basis.
And also on that, if you get to your last couple years or something, and you realize that there's this program you really need Windows for, you do have a couple options on how to run Windows on your Mac if you really need that. So that's an option too.
One thing I'd recommend is getting an external hard drive, though. My computer did not make it the full years. So get an external hard drive, back up your stuff all the time, because I lost my whole junior year winter quarter because my computer just crashed. So just a recommendation.
Save early and often. Always words to live by, especially when you're working on like a big code. Yeah. EA1, make sure you save. That's all I'll say. Okay. So moving on to MATLAB, actually, talking about computers. So what exactly do we have to do by August 1st regarding MATLAB? Purple Prep's bit on that wasn't exactly clear. Do we need to just purchase MATLAB by August 1st, or we need to purchase it and download it by August 1st? Are we only able to download it on one computer, the one we purchase it on? So, when or how are we purchasing the student license from NUIT? It would be so helpful to have a step-by-step rundown of how the whole process works before I try to start it. I want to be sure to obtain it correctly.
So breathe. It'll all be okay. Honestly, just wait until you get your new laptop to download MATLAB. It'll make it 10 times easier because then you only have to download it once. And NUIT is super helpful when it comes to downloading it, so if the instructions online aren't clear to you when you go to do it, just shoot them an email via their helpline, and I'm sure they'll be able to help you out.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I mean, if you have any kind of problems with your computer, I personally had to replace my computer as well this year, and my MATLAB license carried over from my old computer, so it should be pretty easy to do. Everybody in McCormick gets a MATLAB license, which is pretty sweet because it's kind of an expensive software.
Yeah.
So
To add to that, actually, you can put your MATLAB license on multiple computers. So I have one on my laptop here, and then I also have a desktop computer, so I have it on there as well. So you can use it on multiple computers, and it'll just recognize it under your account and not on multiple interfaces. So yeah, go ahead, download.
Perfect. Okay, so we've had a couple of people talk about changing majors. I wanted to be electrical engineering, but now I'm not sure, or something like that. So what do I do if I want to change majors?
So changing majors is actually pretty easy. You can do it anytime you really want to. So all you have to do is go over to the engineering office, which is in tech. It's the room L268. Don't worry about it right now. I'm sure you'll see it. But you just go over there and just talk to someone there and turn in a form. But you can do it freshman year. You can do it even sophomore year. I picked up a double major my sophomore year. So it's very easy to do. And so yeah, don't worry about that.
Yeah, don't worry about it at all. And if you really want to change it before you get to campus, if you email the advisors, or actually if you probably email a woman named Heather Bacon, she is a saint and she will help you with anything that you ever need about anything. So keep this email address in mind if you really need to have any questions about changing your major before you get to campus. If you really just can't wait, h-bacon@northwestern.edu, or Google search Heather Bacon. I'm sure she comes up first. So Heather Bacon, h-bacon@northwestern.edu. That woman will help you with all of your problems. Okay, so we have a couple of questions that came in as we started. So we'll start with the first one. I think this is Professor Gentry will take this, or Professor Freeman will take this first one. Talking about IB classes. So some of you guys are IB. In the dossier, there's no place to enter scores from the IB Spanish language exam. How should I communicate my results from the exam? Also, when I visited campus, I was told that, Nick, there's two of you now. That's weird. Also, when I visited campus, I was told that unrestricted elective credit would be awarded for IB physics. Is this the case?
Ooh, interesting. Okay, so one of the things that you can do, if you have a question about IB or AP, you can go to the Welcome 2018 page. There's a link there to APIB. Okay, good. We're down to one Nick again. That was really starting to freak me out. So you can go to that page and take a look at it. Also, just contact your advisor directly. We can work with you on that. Typically what happens with languages, you end up having to do a language proficiency, and based on that language proficiency, you're kind of given the place to start if you want to continue foreign language at Northwestern. But again, one of the best things you can do is just contact your advisor and let's work through the situation.
Yeah, your advisor would definitely be your resource for that. Language can be a little iffy. Some people like to take language while they're engineers, and so that's great. I'm doing it. A lot of people do it. So definitely talk to your advisor how to make that feasible, because you don't want to, like, if you have IB credit for Spanish, you probably don't need to be in Spanish 101. So they'll help you figure that out. Okay, so we lost Nick. He told me his Wi-Fi was funky, but hopefully he'll be back. So we have a question that came in about if you're coming in with lots of AP credits. So if you, no? Okay, sorry. If you have a lot of AP credits, is it possible, can you feasibly graduate in 4 years and do co-op? Laurel, your mic is still muted.
Okay, so it depends on you. I don't know. Professor Gentry was just kind of nodding his head no. I don't know if that was for graduating. I mean, it's very, I don't know. He's saying no, it's not possible. It's kind of hard. I wouldn't recommend doing it, because that would mean you would have to double up on classes. Well, not double up. I mean, like, take 5 classes instead of 4, and then co-op every summer, and then there's like a whole thing. You probably have to talk about career services, but that seems, you just take the 5 years, honestly, is what I would have to say as my advice. It's because really it's not worth your time to crunch yourself down into all these classes, because then you miss so much of the Northwestern experience. and you're not really enjoying your college life. So I wouldn't recommend doing that.
Yeah, I would just say that some people are here to get their degree, and that's cool. I get it. But college can be and is so much more than that. So if you really, I would agree personally with Laurel and say if you want to do co-op and you can do it in 5 years instead of 4 years, like let yourself have fun. And I think and not that you won't have fun if you co-op and graduate in 4 years, but it'll be really hard. So absolutely, if you want to do it, go for it. But definitely talk to McCormick Office of Career Development. They have a website, Office of Career Development, or they also have various meetings during Wildcat Welcome specifically about co-op, because a lot of students are really interested in co-op. Why wouldn't you be? It's really cool. So think about that kind of in the back of your mind. Don't worry too much about it now. Come back around to it when you get to campus. There will be events about it during Wildcat Welcome. That's all I will say about that.
So I'll hop in and just say, yeah. So this is the time when you have another advisor. If you decide to do co-op, you'll have an advisor from the Office of Career Development who will help you get that co-op and talk about employment and everything like that. So Professor Freeman and I are not experts in that area. So that type of question about fitting the co-op in and how long it will take, bring it to them. I think the meetings are the Thursday of Wildcat Welcome Week. Look for them. They also have a course that goes every quarter that I think 75% of McCormick students take. And it's sort of the intro to their services. They help you write a resume. They tell you what a co-op is. It's called CRDV 301. So ask your advisor about that. Ask the PAs about taking that class, because I'm sure some of them have.
I think we might all have actually taken that. I definitely taken it. Yeah, I could see a bunch of you nodding. Nick left, but I'm sure if he's doing an internship, he probably took it. So, yeah, it's a really great class. Writing a resume is a skill, which you should write on your resume. Like you should, it's a really important kind of thing to do. So just don't worry about it too much. But yeah, if you're interested in maybe co-oping, maybe not even co-oping, just doing an internship, it's really, or ever just working, it's really just a useful class to take. So keep that in the back of your mind. Nothing to worry about right now. But on the topic of internships and research, we are all doing different things at different places. So Kelly, do you want to talk about research just a little bit?
Yeah, so a question like I definitely had as a freshman was like, when do you start getting involved in research? There are a ton of McCormick undergraduates who get involved. I personally got involved at the beginning of my sophomore year, but I know people that got started before then and people that got started after then. So it's really whenever you can work it into your schedule. Professors here are really open to taking undergrads because we're usually really enthusiastic. So just do your research, no pun intended, and look into like what kind of labs interest you, and you want to work in a lab that has content that is related to your major and you want to stick with, because most professors want a longer term commitment. So don't worry about it when you first get to campus in the fall. Definitely at least wait until winter to start looking into that kind of thing. But don't be intimidated as a freshman either, because there are definitely professors out there that will take freshmen into their labs.
Yeah, do whatever is interesting to you. Do something that's it'd be a really cool opportunity to get to know a professor. Kelly's absolutely right. The Northwestern professors are so nice. We've got 2 of them in this call right now, spending their Monday evening with us. Monday? It's Monday. Monday evening with us. So absolutely don't feel afraid to talk to anybody about it.
Yeah, I can speak to internships a little bit if that's cool. So I've actually benefited from having a couple internships. I'm on my 3rd now. So those generally start sometime after your freshman year or after your sophomore year. So there's a lot of career development opportunities at Northwestern. There's a lot of career fairs and whatnot. So you can definitely get involved in those early. I'd recommend joining like a pre-professional society. I'm not going to name any names. You can find out on your own. But, make your own footsteps and whatnot. But that's how I got mine personally. So there's definitely opportunities. Those usually start around sophomore year, junior year.
Yeah, there are a lot of opportunities for internships. Your major kind of can help you pave your way for one of those. And the people you know in pre-professional societies and all of that can be really helpful. It's also really important to know that if you decide to, so some people do research over the summer. Nick said he was researching over the summer. A lot of people do internships over the summer. And then another option you can do is a lot of engineers kind of think like, oh, it's really hard to study abroad because we're on these classes that are sequenced. So can I study abroad? And the answer is yes. You can study abroad during the year, but a lot of students also study abroad during the summer, which is what I did last summer. I was in China for 2 months, which was really awesome, just kind of studying stuff related to green technology, sustainability, energy efficiency. So there are a lot of things that you can do, a lot of, it doesn't have to be internships, doesn't have to be, research. There are so many things you can do, and really don't feel pressured to do like an internship. If you're not ready, you can't find one. You'll be okay if you don't have one, but just keep it in mind. Think about what you might want to do, where you might want to go. It's all kinds of doors are open to you. And then I had something else I was going to say. Oh, yeah. If any of you are in Mitch Zubietta's PA group, he's in China right now. So and Evan Rosati. So if any of you are waiting for emails from your PAs, it might be because they're too busy having fun in Beijing. If you have anything else, I don't think we have any other questions necessarily right now. Does anybody have any last words they kind of want to say before we sign off?
Yeah, I just wanted to say, thank you for being patient with us tonight. This advising model that we're rolling out, I mean, you're the first group to go through it. I mean, some of the things we're actually learning on the fly, like how to do a Google Hangout. So I want to say thank you for being patient with us, and we will definitely appreciate any feedback that you have.
Yeah, you guys have been great being patient with us, and we're hopefully able to answer all your questions. I know that a lot of you are kind of really interested to hear what's going on in McCormick, and there's a lot of stuff to keep track of over the summer. So from us to you, I just want to thank you for bearing with us and listening in tonight. So yeah, if you are, so fun thing to keep in mind, so make sure that you're checking your @u.northwestern.edu email address. You should be reached out to pretty soon by your peer advisors. So one of these three, Nick was here, 4 people will be contacting you, as well as 37 others. So there are so many of you. That's like just one thing that'll help you kind of like start getting part of McCormick. It's really good to have a face that you can kind of connect to, someone that will answer your questions. So make sure that you do that. If you haven't set up your u.northwestern.edu email address, you've got to do that, because that's how you're going to get all your communication from us. It's really important that you do that. It's really easy to do. You have your net ID is like your like username you got to have, to do everything at Northwestern. So you use that to set up your @u.northwestern.edu email address. So make sure you do that. Please do that. It will make your lives and our lives easier. Another thing is to do the dossier. We've talked a lot about it tonight, but it is due by July 11th. Just make sure you fill it out. You want Professors Gentry and Freeman and the others to really be able to help you as best they can. So make sure you fill that out. It'll really make settling in, making sure you're taking the right classes so much easier for you. And if you don't know what you're doing, you're just like, I'm so lost. I looked at Purple Prep, I just can't get it. Like, what do I do? Make sure you ask questions. That'll help you so much in this time before you start your first year and when you start your first year. Make sure you ask as many questions as you can, because it will really help you get in the right mind. Make sure you're all ready for everything. So yeah.
I got one last thing, Nick. John, sorry.
Yes.
This is our goal with Dossier, is to make sure that when you get to campus, by the time you get to campus, you have a schedule in hand. So when you meet us face to face for the first time, when you meet your advisors face to face for the first time, that Wednesday of Wildcat Welcome, it's going to be great, because you're going to have a schedule. You're going to have a schedule before you get to campus. And the only way we can make that happen is if you work with us through Dossier and you ask questions, and we just have some, really good conversations. So we can actually say, this is what you should be taking. Because Wildcat Welcome is going to be a huge, huge blur. And by the time you get to Friday and it's time to register, you're going to say, oh, wow, let me see. I know I was told something. Oh, and you can just pull it up in Dossier, and there's the courses you should be registering for.
Absolutely. Dossier is your friend. Email is your friend. We're all your friends. Take advantage of your friends. Let them help you. So that I think is the last little bit I'm going to throw in there. Thank you guys all for participating. Thank you to Professors Gentry and Freeman, and for Laurel, Kelly, Andy, and Nick who left at some point. He told me his internet was bad, but it's okay. Thank you guys all for participating. Hopefully this has been really informative for you, and go Cats.